Hello and welcome to the Africa Eco Race 2016. This 8th edition of the Classic Africa Rally Raid started this year in Monaco and over 12 days powers its way through Northwest Africa, Morocco, Mauritania, finishing up at the prestigious rally destination of Dakar, Senegal. A short day one was an appetizer of what's to come. So now on to day two, which looks like this. Short liaison sections, but a big special stage. 313 competitive kilometers from Djouf El Hammam to Tagounit. And because they did not compete on day one, we're seeing the bikes for the first time. And they start the rally for the first time straight in at the deep end with the Mezuga dunes. And unfortunately for Yevgenia Nestorova, she had a broken rear suspension which put her out for the day. Also bad luck for Gabriel Pavlutz, a crash in which he was injured, suspected broken collarbone. The rest of the field had to cope with these very soft dunes. This is the very beginning of the Sahara Desert, passing very close to the border with Algeria, and of course using all their strength over the 313 kilometers. So on bike 107 is Stefano Chiuso. The Italian makes it to his control point, gets refueled using that classic system of scrolling pace notes, the roadbook. That's all they have, GPS and that, to try and guide their way through these dunes. Impressive from Chiuso, comes in with a time of 4 hours, 57 seconds and 26 minutes, non-stop on the bike. That puts him in 4th place at the end of the stage. Powering his way through the stage on a KTM is number 115, Dmitry Agoshkov. The Russian just demonstrating here how tricky this stage is because it goes from soft dunes to rocky with some greenery around it. The bikes go through first, of course, so there's very limited tracks for them to follow, and occasionally having to make their own path. Now this is Andrew Newland, bike 118, KTM. This is a construction businessman whose self-professed midlife crisis has adopted off-road racing, and he's doing very well indeed. His time is 4 hours 45:56, which puts him in 2nd place overall. Very impressive for someone who is not a long-term practitioner of this fine art. Just look at those dunes. There'll be plenty more of that over the course of the next 11 days. So that is Andrew Newland, 2nd fastest on stage 2. But here, mounting his bike and absolutely flying is Paul Anders Ulevalsæter. Last year's winner, officially retired but could not resist the temptation to come back. And who can blame him when you can see the absolute quality of the stages that he's riding right here. He has a special agreement with the KTM team that they'll give money to a charity helping kids in Africa for every stage he wins this year at the Africa Eco Race. So it's not just a victory for him, it's a victory for charity as well. And he absolutely blows everyone else away with a time of 4 hours 21:29, quicker by a long margin.
It was a very nice stage and it was good for me. I made perfect navigation all the time, but maybe not too fast everywhere, but you have to pay attention, especially in the end here. But I've been here before, so I remember. It's a little bit tricky. And it's good to be back in Africa.
So we switch from 2 wheels to 4. Time for the cars to hit this same stage. There's various different types of terrain here. We've travelled very close to a volcano, and here we have car 216 off the line. It looks like he's going well here, but a puncture which he changed then led to a brake failure, and everything kind of fell apart for Balázs. He'll be back again tomorrow. Here on the start line, car 207, co-driver Michael Justo Gil, Ricardo dos Santos, powering through the stage in their Nissan. The Portuguese-Brazilian crew bouncing their way over the soft sand. Doesn't affect his ability to put the gas pedal down hard though. Fourth quickest on this stage with a time of 3 hours 41 minutes 52 seconds. A very impressive drive, even if occasionally he's tentative with the roadbook. Here is Anton Grigorov in his Oscar. And look at that, how difficult it is to navigate. Not everyone takes the beaten path, but Grigorov is third quickest with a time of 3 hours 36:54. This is the very impressive sounding Hummer. Just listen to that, of Yuri Sazonov, absolutely flying here. Needing a little bit of guidance on the stage to make sure he goes through the right bit of dune. Imagine how hard it is to get over these dunes, especially with the low sun. Now going very well, but a bit later in the stage he has a problem. Seems to be slowing down. And yes, the problem was a fuel problem. In fact, he started to run out of fuel towards the end of the stage, so he slowed down, made a decision, and got to the end of the stage at slow pace to try and conserve it. But he was still second quickest, and that means he remains overall leader. His time 3 hours 32 minutes 42 seconds. Second quickest despite stopping and going slow because he was running out of fuel. But a great performance by Mathieu Serradori. The Frenchman making the most of the problems for Sazonov. Very carefully, very gingerly, but also quickly making his way across this Moroccan terrain at the AfricaEcoRace 2016. Wins the stage with a time of 3 hours 31 minutes 14 seconds. Just a minute ahead of Sazonov, but that was enough to put a stage win to his name. Along with co-driver Didier Hackett, a superb performance on day 2 from this French team in their proto. He says, we took a good rhythm from the start and we kept it along without pushing too hard because we wanted to preserve the car. This is the first real stage we've driven with this car, so we're discovering little by little. We had a slight problem with the accelerator, a slight problem, the co-driver says. You're being nice. So we had our hearts beating faster because the car had some malfunctions. The co-driver says, first the accelerator stayed stuck, then it had some malfunctions. And so in the end he says, well, when it stays stuck I don't mind, but not when it has malfunctions. One of the many extraordinary sights here in Morocco, the camels, the famous ways of shipping items across the desert. And here's another one, but you'd have to catch him first. These are much bigger than the 4x4s. Over 3,500 kilos is the beginning weight for the trucks category. And this is the Czech driver, Tomáš Tomacek, in truck number 401. Look at that, just diving over the dunes. Ably aided by one co-driver, Ladislav Lala. Now these Tatra trucks are snapping at the heels of the Kamaz trucks, but not quite got it yet. He sets the third quickest time, 4 hours 9 minutes 26. Person he's trying to beat is this guy, this team of 3. Truck 403, the Kamaz. These incredible trucks that have been dominating the world of truck racing and rallying for the last 15 years. 17-litre V8 engine pushing 750 brake horsepower to the rear wheels, pushing 100 miles per hour, and you can see he's probably doing that right there. This is Sergei Kuprianov. He comes second quickest on the stage with a time of 3 hours, 46 minutes and 40 seconds. Ooh, the suspension has to be good when it's digging into the sand, and you feel like it could almost roll over, but they're much more stable than that. So if Kuprianov is second quickest, even at that pace, let's find out who won the stage. Incredible the way he's tiptoeing through that section. Other drivers would happily just barrel over those rocks, but not Kuprianov. So this is an absolute masterclass of truck driving from Anton Shibalov. Arguably the best truck driver in the world at the moment. Not just the quickest truck today, but second quickest overall, which means he was quicker than all but one of the cars. Just demonstrating the skill that this guy has. Shibalov, a real star, chosen to be here because he prefers to race in Africa in these trucks. And you can see he's having to make his own tracks in the sand, eschewing where the cars have gone before, because he can go pretty much anywhere and do pretty much anything. And at this rate, he could be on for a great result at this year's race. Stage win for Shibalov.
He
says, it's complicated to be in front for us because there's not many tracks to guide us comparing to starting in the peloton. But when you do start behind, there's a lot of dust and less visibility. But we're happy with the result, and the truck helped us a lot.